Markie Manson is being called a hero. He was a child that dreamed of becoming a member of a SWAT team.
Twin City states, where quiet streets and close-knit neighborhoods feel like the safest place on earth. But one mother's search would reveal a truth no one saw coming. For 24 agonizing hours, she looked for her 8-year-old son. No sleep, no rest. Just a mother's unstoppable love. She called every friend, searched every park, knocked on every door, but her boy had vanished without a trace. Then she made the call no parent ever wants to make. 911, what's your emergency? My son, he's missing. I think he's in danger. That call set off a chain of events no one could have predicted, because the truth behind his disappearance was stranger than anyone imagined. To understand what really happened, we need to rewind. Back to the beginning, back to the moments before everything changed. In 1999, Maram Sarah arrived in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, her new home after leaving the Middle East. The bitter cold winters felt shocking compared to her homeland's warmth. Street signs, store labels, even simple greetings sounded like gibberish to her ears. With only Arabic and French in her vocabulary, she faced an invisible wall everywhere she went. At school, she became the quiet observer, watching lips move during conversations, trying to decode this strange new language through context clues. Then came her breakthrough. A compassionate French teacher noticed her struggles and became her bridge to the English-speaking world. Her learning happened everywhere. Late nights with a well-worn Arabic-English dictionary, painstakingly reading children's books at the local library, practicing phrases with cashiers at the grocery store, watching sitcoms with subtitles, repeating lines aloud. Within 2 years, she went from silent observer to honor roll student. Her GED, General Educational Development Diploma, became her ticket to Beaver County Community College, where she pursued phlebotomy. Drawn to healthcare's stability and purpose, the grind was relentless. Mornings at ARC Human Services, helping others. Evenings serving tables at Olive Garden nights. Studying anatomy textbooks. Weekends volunteering at a community clinic. In November 2010, a bright-eyed boy named Markie Manson was born in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, a child whose laughter would soon become contagious to everyone around him. As the eldest of 2 brothers, he embraced his role as both protector and playmate to his younger sibling, Matthew. Their bond was instant and unshakable, filled with shared adventures and endless games. From his earliest years, Marky possessed an extraordinary gift for connecting with others. His bright, welcoming smile became his signature, a smile that could instantly lift the spirits of anyone around him. Teachers and classmates alike described his laugh as contagious, capable of turning even the gloomiest day around. But beyond his cheerful demeanor, Marky showed remarkable emotional depth for his age, consistently demonstrating care and concern for others. In school, Marky's talents shone brightly. His teachers frequently noted his exceptional abilities in mathematics, where he displayed advanced problem-solving skills. Equally impressive was his artistic flair. Whether sketching superheroes or creating colorful classroom projects, Marky approached art with both enthusiasm and natural talent. This perfect balance of analytical thinking and creative expression made him stand out among his peers. Marky's love for Spider-Man wasn't just about the cool costume or superpowers. He deeply connected with the hero's message of responsibility and helping others. This wasn't mere childhood fantasy. Marky lived these values daily. On the playground, he was the peacemaker who included everyone. In class, he was the student who noticed when someone felt left out. His dream of becoming SWAT team member grew from this genuine desire to protect and serve. At home, Marky's loving nature blossomed. His relationship with younger brother Matthew was the stuff of storybooks. The two were inseparable companions in every adventure, from backyard explorations to imaginative games. With his mother Maram, Marky shared special moments in the kitchen, where their baking sessions became treasured rituals filled with laughter and love. The outdoors was Marky's playground. Whether riding his bike through the neighborhood, fishing with his father, or simply playing tag with friends under the sun, he approached every activity with infectious enthusiasm. His ability to find wonder in simple moments, a quality that drew others to him, made ordinary days feel like grand adventures. But before we begin, I just want to say thank you to my amazing viewers and subscribers. Your support through likes, shares, and comments means the world to me. Your engagement helps make these stories even more meaningful. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of true crime enthusiasts. What truly set Marky apart was his extraordinary emotional intelligence. At just 8 years old, he demonstrated wisdom beyond his years in how he treated others. Teachers remarked on his natural leadership, his instinct for fairness, and his rare ability to resolve conflicts with compassion. In a world that often feels divided, Marky's example of unconditional kindness remains his most enduring gift to those who knew him.
Maram's path crossed with Markie Manson in the early 2000s in New Castle, Pennsylvania. She had recently completed her college education and was building her professional life when they met Mark. Charismatic, hardworking, and family-oriented, seemed to share her deepest values about parenting and commitment. Their connection was immediate and profound, two dreamers united by their belief in family. Early relationship filled with shared laughter and goals, mutual commitment to building a stable future together. The couple welcomed their first son, Markie Manson, born November 24, 2010. Later blessed with second son, Matthew, created a warm, nurturing home environment, focused on providing stability and love for their boys. As time passed, their relationship naturally evolved. The beautiful challenges of parenting, combined with work commitments and different approaches to life, required adjustments from both partners. Mark became more reserved, and their communication patterns shifted. They found themselves seeing things differently, whether discussing parenting, philosophies, household priorities, or personal goals. Maram remained fully devoted to the boys' daily lives, while Mark worked to manage his various responsibilities. The effortless connection they once enjoyed required more conscious effort to maintain. After sincere attempts to bridge their differences, they recognized their paths were leading in separate directions. After years of dedicated effort to maintain their family unit, Maram and Mark came to the mutual decision to live separately. This transition, while emotionally difficult, was handled with care, guided above all by their shared love for their children. Their primary focus remained ensuring the well-being of Marky and Matthew during this change. Following family court discussions, Maram became the primary caregiver for the children. The decision recognized her strong emotional connection with the boys, her ongoing presence in their daily routines, and her capacity to maintain a secure, loving home. After the separation, Maram focused on staying strong for her kids, for herself. She devoted all her energy to raising Marky and Matthew, fulfilling both parental roles in their home. Yet beneath the surface, there was an unspoken emptiness. As the boys grew older and time moved forward, Maram discovered a particular solitude in those quiet evenings at home, a profound sense of emotional isolation, not the temporary kind that social gatherings could fix. This was more fundamental, a human need to feel truly understood and valued. Romance wasn't her priority. She longed for meaningful connection, for genuine dialogue, for someone who would ask about her day. During this period, she came across writeaprisoner.com.
Writeaprisoner.com is a communication platform where individuals in correctional facilities can create profiles to connect with others. Some users seek pen pals. Others hope for meaningful connections through correspondence. The process involves creating an account, viewing participant profiles, exchanging letters. For Maram, it began as simple curiosity. Among the many profiles, one particular connection caught her attention. 𝐀𝐫𝐜𝐜𝐬. A man with a complex history. In the early 2000s, he was convicted in connection with a fatal traffic altercation, received a multi-decade prison sentence. Yet his profile showed refinement. He discussed personal growth, feelings of being misjudged, and deep remorse. Included biblical references, communicated gently through correspondence, had a unique ability to make others feel understood. Maram and Keith developed a correspondence. Their initial brief exchanges gradually deepened into lengthy personal letters. Keith's words resonated deeply. He spoke of redemption and new beginnings, offered heartfelt compliments, made her feel valued. After years of feeling overlooked, his attention brought her comfort. Over time, her guard came down. She fully supported rehabilitation. She truly thought she was aiding his personal growth. She couldn't have anticipated how this connection would soon play a role in the life of her family. By March 2019, after completing his sentence, 𝐀𝐫𝐜𝐬𝐲 was approved for early release under supervision. The review board determined he had demonstrated rehabilitation through counseling, positive conduct, and personal growth during his incarceration. But official records don't reveal everything. For Maram, those handwritten letters had become essential. She had spent years single-handedly raising 2 boys. After the challenges of her ended marriage and the isolation that followed, she craved emotional support and understanding. When Keith completed his sentence, he didn't face an uncertain future. He entered hers. Their written connection quickly became an in-person relationship. Shortly after, Maram made a significant choice. She brought Keith into the lives of her sons, Marky and his younger brother Matthew. Mark, the boy's father, expressed serious concerns. He objected, urged reconsideration. But legally, Maram had the right to have Keith in their home. As for Keith, he embraced his new role, preparing meals, assisting with schoolwork, entertaining the boys with lighthearted tales from his younger days. The children, trusting and open-hearted, gave him the nickname Bud. But beneath the surface, Keith's transformation wasn't complete. The stability proved short-lived. Old behaviors gradually resurfaced. He became increasingly domineering, his temperament unpredictable. Close observers detected troubling signs: a forced smile, a sharp tone, unsettling, silent stares. Those familiar with his past recognized the warning signs. The Keith they knew had a history of volatility and concerning behavior. Now he shared a home with 2 impressionable children. Tension built like gathering clouds. Disagreements became a daily occurrence. Voices were raised, doors were shut forcefully. What began as quiet concerns grew into heated exchanges, occasionally involving physical contact. Maram's once peaceful home now felt like a place of constant unease. The joyful connection between mother and sons began weakening. Trust eroded, safety felt uncertain, and behind every forced smile Keith wore lay emotions barely under control. They say love is blind, but sometimes it's not love at all. Sometimes it's carefully designed manipulation. What Maram didn't know was that prison correspondence has developed concerning patterns. Inmate communities share templates for emotionally compelling letters. Manipulation techniques are discussed like strategies. Vulnerable populations are often targeted. Red flags. He was actively incarcerated for violent offenses, rushed intimacy, pushed for deep emotional connection unusually fast, a documented grooming tactic. Isolation tactics. Subtly discourage contact with concerned friends, facilitating inmate connections should. Verify violent offense histories more prominently. Provide mandatory warning pop-ups about manipulation risks. Flag users receiving excessive correspondence. Parole officers should. Review all correspondence as part of rehabilitation assessments. Monitor for predatory patterns in relationships formed during incarceration. Public education. Teach emotional manipulation. Warning signs in high-risk demographics. Create resources for families evaluating inmate relationships. Keith wasn't just any correspondent. He had perfected these techniques.
What followed didn't just alter the narrative, it transformed lives forever. Fast forward to the events of July 8, 2019. What began as an ordinary car ride with her 2 sons rapidly became a distressing ordeal for Maram. The day had appeared normal initially. Maram picked her boyfriend Keith from a relative's residence. Her 2 young sons, Mark and his brother, sat peacefully in the back seat of the family vehicle, oblivious to the growing tension up front. While Keith had frequently stayed with them, this occasion would prove exceptional. Initial friction between Maram and Keith seemed minor, a routine difference of opinion. When they paused at a gas station and Maram requested Keith fill the tank, he unexpectedly reacted with hostility. "Do it yourself," he retorted sharply. The exchange developed into a heated verbal dispute, intensifying progressively. What originated as a minor disagreement about a misplaced cell phone escalated into a something serious. That evening took a sudden and frightening turn when Keith's temper flared unexpectedly. In a moment of uncontrolled anger, he physically confronted Maram in the car. She found herself in a dangerous situation as Keith became physically aggressive, causing her visible distress and injury, particularly around her eye area. The commotion woke the two boys, who were shocked to see their mother in such a vulnerable state, clearly struggling during the encounter. Keith's actions showed no signs of calming as the situation intensified. Fearing for her safety, Maram managed to regain control of the vehicle despite her impaired vision and physical discomfort. With quick thinking, she drove directly to seek help at the nearest safe location, the Newcastle Fire Department. As she approached the station, her son's frightened voices from the back seats strengthened her resolve. But before reaching safety, Keith's anger reached a breaking point. In a sudden outburst, he opened the passenger door, forcibly removed Maram from the driver's seat, and pushed her to the pavement. With a disturbing statement about taking the children, he closed the car door and drove away. The boys, visibly distressed in the back seat, their small hands reaching toward their mother. Keith drove the boys to an unknown house in Union Township, a place that felt dark and strange to them. Once inside, the atmosphere changed suddenly. Keith's anger exploded. He started shouting and hurling items across the room with frightening force. The boys stood completely still, shaking with fear.
In a heart-stopping moment, Keith seized both boys by their shoulders, applying scary pressure. When he finally stepped back, they sank to the floor, hugging each other tightly in fear. But the scariest part was yet to come. After leaving briefly, Keith returned with a chilling look on his face. His intense outbursts alone made the boys feel unsafe. He backed them into a corner, yelling confusing accusations. What should have been just a house now felt like the most dangerous place imaginable. Suddenly, Keith focused completely on Marky. Without any warning, he gripped the boy's arm tightly and pulled him toward the basement. Matthew followed, not realizing something very bad was about to happen. In the basement, the situation became extremely dangerous. Keith, now armed with a sharp object, attacked Marky in a violent outburst. The assault caused severe injuries to the child's upper body, and he later passed away. Witnesses reported hearing threatening shouts during this tragic event. Matthew, seeing the terrifying situation unfold, bravely tried to help. He rushed to the kitchen, grabbed a chair, and attempted to stop Burley, but couldn't. Realizing how serious things were, he ran outside, not stopping until he reached a nearby fast food restaurant. There, he urgently told people his brother needed help, and they immediately called emergency services. This tragic event left a community heartbroken. A peaceful Pennsylvania home became the site of an unthinkable loss. 8-year-old Markie Manson was found with injuries no child should ever endure. The emotional impact on his young brother and first responders would linger long after that night. The person at the center of this tragedy had disappeared. Keith Burley, whose troubled past intersected with this innocent family's life, left the area shortly after the incident. Law enforcement across multiple states quickly mobilized in a coordinated search effort. Their urgent mission: to locate the individual connected to this tragic situation and bring resolution to a grieving family. As investigators followed numerous leads and pursued every tip. Then, a critical development. Nearly 9 hours after the incident, authorities located Keith in Youngstown, Ohio, just 19 miles from where events unfolded. He was seen walking calmly along Market Street during morning commuter traffic, showing no signs of concern. But law enforcement had been closing in. U.S. Marshals quickly established a secure perimeter around him. With the situation contained, Keith was taken into custody without incident. The individual at the center of this tragedy was now in custody. Keith was transferred back to Pennsylvania to face multiple criminal charges, yet he continued unconventional attempts to steer the legal process. In an unexpected courtroom decision, he declined legal representation and chose to argue his own case. His approach included frequent interruptions and shifting explanations. He raised claims about systemic bias and unsuccessfully petitioned to dismiss the entire jury panel. The court maintained its original trial proceedings, denying these requests. The courtroom buzzed with palpable tension as proceedings began in August 2023. For those affected by the tragic events, this marked a painful but necessary step toward resolution. Maram Ford, Marky's mother, sat quietly, her expression reflecting years of profound grief as she prepared to confront the individual connected to her loss. 𝐀𝐫𝐜𝐲's unexpected decision to serve as his own attorney drew widespread attention from legal observers. His composed demeanor at the defense table stood in stark contrast to the emotional weight of the situation. This unconventional choice raised numerous questions about how the trial would unfold, particularly given the complex nature of the case. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Joshua Lamancusa, presented an irrefutable case about the events of July 8, 2019. Evidence showed that after a domestic dispute escalated, Burley took Maram's two young sons to a residence in Union Township, where an unthinkable act of violence occurred. 8-year-old Markie Manson suffered fatal injuries in the presence of his younger brother. The courtroom grew heavy with emotion as key testimony was presented, including forensic experts detailing the nature of the injuries, first responders describing the scene they encountered, Matthew Manson's heartbreaking account of witnessing his brother's final moments. Matthew, then just 7 years old, recalled in quiet tones how Burley had separated him from Marky downstairs. Through tears, he described hearing sounds no child should ever experience and seeing his brother in a state no family member should ever witness. His testimony about desperately pleading for the violence to stop left the courtroom in profound silence. Medical examiners presented conclusive findings about the nature of Marky's injuries. The extent and pattern of wounds demonstrated an exceptionally violent incident that deeply affected jurors. Expert testimony confirmed this was a deliberate act, not an accidental occurrence. Neighbors described hearing distressing sounds and discovering the aftermath. First responders detailed the scene they encountered. 𝐀𝐫𝐜𝐲's self-representation led to unorthodox courtroom conduct. He frequently challenged witness reliability and introduced tangential arguments. At one point, he unsuccessfully petitioned for a jury selection review, a request the presiding judge denied while maintaining trial continuity. Then came the moment that weighed heavily on everyone in the room, Maram Ford's testimony. She stood up, her voice trembling as she spoke about losing her son. "Marky was everything to me. He was my light, my heart," she said, her words thick with emotion. She described the lasting impact on her family. As she spoke, many in the courtroom, including the jury, wiped away tears. For Maram, this wasn't just a trial, it was about honoring her son's memory. After just 11 minutes of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. 𝐀𝐫𝐜𝐲 was convicted on all charges, including homicide and unlawful confinement offenses. While this brought a measure of relief to Maram and her family, nothing could undo the profound loss they endured. The pain from that night's events remained indelible. The judge imposed 2 consecutive life sentences with no chance of release. As the ruling was delivered, Maram sat quietly, absorbing the finality of the outcome. The legal system had reached its conclusion, but no sentence could ever fill the void left by her son's tragic loss of life.
At 7 years old, Matthew experienced profound trauma witnessing his brother's traumatic loss. Matthew frequently experienced intrusive recollections of that night, causing him to withdraw from relationships, even with close family. His emotional responses became inconsistent, alternating between frustration, isolation, and persistent grief. The world now seemed unpredictable and threatening to the young boy. Maram dedicated herself to Matthew's recovery, though professionals emphasized healing would require significant time. Specialists identified severe post-traumatic stress directly connected to his experiences. Despite comprehensive support systems, regaining a sense of safety remained an ongoing process. After the heartbreaking loss of Mary, the New Castle community showed incredible unity. People gathered at peaceful memorials across town to honor her memory. At her school, classmates created touching tributes, filling her desk with flowers, handwritten messages, and drawings to celebrate her life. In the following months, this outpouring of love reached Pennsylvania's leaders. Moved by the community's response, they began discussing how to prevent similar tragedies and better support grieving families. Markie's story goes beyond tragedy. It's a vital lesson for us all. It shows how trust can be broken by those who hide in plain sight. While we mourn the loss of this bright young life, we're also reminded of our shared responsibility to stay informed, teach our communities, and create safer environments for every child. Now is the time to act. Teach children about personal boundaries and how to say no. Let them know it's okay to speak up if something feels wrong. The more informed they are, the better they can protect themselves. Support survivors. Those affected by harmful situations often feel alone and afraid to speak up. Always offer a listening ear and encourage them to seek help. Let them know they are believed and supported every step of the way. Advocate for change. Push for stronger child safety laws and better background checks for individuals who work with children. Raise your voice to ensure proper consequences for those who cause harm and prevent future risks.